gentlemen, shalom and good evening from New York City, from Manhattan, from the southwestern corner of the Central Park. Behind me, the Trump Tower. Demonstrations are over here of the environmentalists, I guess, because President Trump did not deliver today what they want. They want billions to be poured on reducing what they say 1 or 2 degrees of the climate to save the world. Great hoax, great deception, and they're using a very young Swedish girl as their forerunner now, and that poor girl has she said, I shouldn't be here, I should be in school right now. She's right, she should be in school right now. She should be in school right now because that's what she should be doing. She's being used by George Soros today, by other activists, and she's being used by UN influencers to basically cause world wide demonstrations for climate change. Now listen guys, we touched that many times. We already talked about it many times. This is a hoax that is bigger than you can imagine. It is a hoax that is comprised of so many things. But I want to tell you, New York City is so jam-packed right now with leaders from all over the world, from with diplomats from all over the world. The General Assembly is convening right now. President Trump delivered a speech. In the coming days, more and more people. I think that the Iranian president is also here right now, and he was granted a visa, and I know that his people are with him, expecting or at least promoting some meeting with President Trump, so it will look good on cameras. I'm not sure if it's a good thing for Trump after what they did to Saudi Arabia to appear with him. But I do know one thing. I know that unfortunately Prime Minister Netanyahu is not here due to the political developments in Israel. He could not leave the country while he is negotiating his way to see if he, after all, can form a government. And now comes the point that we will start with. Let's start first about Israel and then move to the UN right behind me. So first of all, you need to understand that nothing has changed since last Wednesday. Netanyahu is not the leader of the largest party in Israel, and Netanyahu has no 61 seats that can secure a government. So these two things remain unchanged. And then therefore, the cards he's holding in his hands are not good. Now there's only, you have to understand, in Israel, I don't know if you can hear, there's a lot of demonstration down there. All right, I'll try to ignore them. I want to tell you that in Israel, we've got predominantly 4 political groups. We've got the right wing, we've got a left liberals, the right is conservative, the left is liberal, then we've got the ultra-Orthodox, and then we've got the Arabs, which are not Zionists, they're not even for Israel, they're more pro-Palestinian, they visit terrorists in the prisons, and they don't want Israel to be a Jewish state and all of that. Okay, so we have 4 groups, you understand? 1, 2, 3, 4. Normally, the right wing is, comprised of the Likud, and then there is the Orthodox right wing, and there is the secular right wing, okay? The secular was led by Lieberman, the Orthodox is led by a group called Yemina, which is right. What happened after the last elections 4 months ago, a chunk of the right wing, the secular one, led by Lieberman, decided that he's no longer naturally with the right, and boom, moved to the center and said, I'm sorry, but I don't want to sit in the government with the ultra-Orthodox. So the right wing that always formed the government with the Orthodox is no longer big enough because a chunk of it was just on its way somewhere else. And now what happened? We went to another cycle of election, and the elections right now shrunk the right wing even smaller. The secular right of Lieberman grew bigger, and the ultra-Orthodox stayed the same. Lieberman is right here, doesn't want to join Netanyahu because Netanyahu is a friend of the ultra-Orthodox. The left liberals only have the Arabs with them. They are about 43 mandates, and the Arabs are about 13. So it's about 56. Ladies and gentlemen, none of the sides without Lieberman can be more than 60. This is 56, this is 56, and Lieberman is 8. That is exactly the problem in Israel right now. No side can form a government without Lieberman. Lieberman says to Netanyahu, I am not going to sit with you if you sit with the ultra-Orthodox. Lieberman says to the left, I will not sit with you if you sit with the Arabs. So what does he want? He wants a unity or a government of the left and the right with him alone. That could have been possible. It's just that the left doesn't want Netanyahu to be the leader of the Likud with whom they need to sit. He boycotts the Orthodox. They boycott Netanyahu, and we got such a mess that no party can really join another one and form a government. So the president of Israel, Reuven Rivlin, summoned Netanyahu and Gantz, Netanyahu, the leader of the right, Gantz, the leader of the left, puts them together and says, you need to sit and talk. Netanyahu came, and so did Gantz, and they sit and talk. And apparently, Netanyahu says, look, I'm not going to abandon my allies, the right wing, the Orthodox right wing, and the ultra-Orthodox Jews. They went with me the whole time. This guy says, I don't mind sitting with your party, but I don't want you to be prime minister. So either someone blinks first and decides to compromise and not stick to his stubborn position, or we are going for a third round of elections in a couple months. That's the problem that we have right now. But what was the frightening thing of all? Suddenly, the left wing, which is calling himself center, but they're actually left, they need the Arabs in order to create a big enough bloc. And the Arabs said, we will support you, but we want to be considered the landlords here. We want to get security clearance. We want to sit in the top, listen, they want to sit in the top intelligence meetings. And you know they're going to go and give the enemy all the information. So all the Israelis woke up to see that they have created a monster. Now, Israel the Big is allowing a group of 13 members of parliament from the Arab parties to feel that they are a superpower. Now we are going to see what's going to happen. The president of Israel normally is receiving the leaders of all the parties, and they recommend who is the person that, according to what they think, should form the government. So far, 56 of the right and the ultra-Orthodox recommended Netanyahu. And remember, I told you that on the other side we have 56 as well? Well, guess what happened? 3 Arab members of parliament from the 56 decided that they do not support the other guy. So he's got what? 53 versus 56. Now it appears that Netanyahu has more people recommending him to form a government than on this side. However, still, it's only 56. He cannot form a government if he has less than 61, because the parliament is 120 members. You need to have one above half in order to pass legislation, in order to have a government. Lieberman is the key. Who will Lieberman go with? And folks, I want to tell you something. I don't remember a case like that in at least not in my lifetime. What frightens me is that two small parties, one of Lieberman with 8 seats and the 13 seats of the Arabs, are basically calling the shots to the rest of our country. This is democracy, by the way. It's the price of democracy. And this is where we are right now. Do not be fooled to think that if Netanyahu has 56 and Gantz have 53 that recommends them as to form government, that means Netanyahu won. No, Netanyahu cannot form a government. Gantz wants Netanyahu to try and fail, so he will say, hey, Netanyahu failed, I'll do it. Netanyahu wants Gantz to form a government and fail, so he will say, he failed, let me do it. So right now, in a very bizarre way, both leaders prefer the other to try first and fail. And this is why I urge you not to be impressed by the fact that Netanyahu has more people recommending him, because he doesn't want that. He prefers that Gantz will try to form a government. He wants to show the Israelis that Gantz needs the anti-Israeli Arabs to form a government. He wants to cause the Israelis to be so shocked. And then if we run for a third round of elections, everybody will go back to the Likud and to Netanyahu. That's the story that we have right now. And I know it's bizarre, or maybe complicated, or maybe even crazy, but actually that's the British system and that's the Israeli system. This is democracy. This is not a republic. We do not have only two parties. Right now we have about, if I'm not mistaken, 10 different political parties in the parliament. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're still ahead of probably at least a good 2 to 3 weeks of uncertainty in Israel. Somebody asked me, what do you think can help Netanyahu? I said, A, a miracle, and B, if there will be any military confrontation in the near future and Netanyahu will be, sort of like the savior of Israel with a great decisive government that will lead for victory, something of that kind, maybe that will help for a third round of election to swing back all those people to vote for it. I'm not sure. All I know is one thing, ladies and gentlemen. The situation is far from being resolved, and a government is far from being formed. And as of now, there's an interim government, and there's a lot of challenges all around us. So this is it. Now let's move to the UN. President Donald Trump today delivered one of the most amazing speeches I've ever seen in the history of the UN. By the way, every year he is actually outdoing himself. Every year it's getting better and better. But this year is very different, because this year President Trump was more bold to speak about God and to defend Christianity and the persecution of Christians around the world, and he chose to have this topic as the main problem that America needs to deal with and to help with than all this climate change baloney. Now, when it comes to Christianity, nobody looks at the persecution. Nobody cares about the persecution. Actually, anything that smells like Christianity is being held as hate, but not hate against the Christians, hate against the rest, because Christians say Jesus is the only way, the only truth, the only life, so they are using hate speech. And you have to understand, President Trump today made it very clear that this country here, the United States, was founded on the principles of the belief in God, on the Christian foundation. And he made it very clear that the future belongs to the patriots, not to the globalists. And as a counter balance to such a strong speech, a small Swedish girl is being used by the world here to paint the entire globe as, and by the way, to press lawsuit against countries such as France and others as the biggest problem of the universe right now. I'm about to post on Facebook a YouTube where you are going to see a professor, one of the founders of Greenpeace, a Canadian professor. You're about to see him interviewed about the scam of this whole global warming. You're going to hear it from an educated professor that understands that this is all scam to get more money and more budgets by those professors that are, trying to advocate for climate change. But he's also going to give you some amazing facts regarding how warming is actually good and not bad for places such as Canada, for example. Canada, as you know, is a country that is too cold, and that's why it has 1/10 of the population of the United States, although it's bigger. So you're going to see an amazing interview. You're going to judge for yourself. By the way, just so you know, on Facebook, every time I post something against global warming or exposing the global warming, Facebook is actually flagging it as fake news. So I'm going to tell you that it might not be easy to post this thing on Facebook later on, and maybe even on YouTube, but I want you to fact check all of that and to understand what is going on here. The leaders of the world are, whether they understand it or they don't understand it, they're basically gathering here together against God and against His anointed one. I really want to urge you to read Psalm 2 and see that God is laughing at them. And I want you to know, folks, that this anti-God gathering and pro-globalism and pro-liberalism gathering here is super alarming, but at the same time super prophetic, because we know that the world is heading towards that. You know, a lot of Christians are frustrated by the fact that this deception is going on. I would switch the mindset and I would say, when you see these things, look up and be encouraged, for our redemption is drawing near. I would change this hard disk and I will look at it as an amazing opportunity to share the gospel, to show the world that this scam will come to an end eventually, and more so for us to understand that this mystery of lawlessness that is already at work, remember, is gonna work, but that man of lawlessness will come only when the restrainer is going to be removed out of his way, as 2 Thessalonians 2 says. Look, maybe that man is already born, maybe he's already around here even. The mystery of lawlessness is definitely already at work. It is all over this place, I can tell you. But I want to tell you something. I know that my Redeemer lives, and I know that He's about to return and take me. And I know that it's very, very, it sounds to so many, even to so many Christians, it sounds that, what? He's going to come and take you? Isn't he coming back for us? No, Jesus, for the Christians, for the real believers, he's not coming back to earth. No believer should expect Jesus to return to earth. All the believers should expect to go and be with him. And I will conclude with this. In the second coming of Jesus on earth, pray that you will not see his face, but you will see his back. You want to ride a horse behind him and not be the enemy that he will destroy with a sword that comes out of his mouth in front of him. So I want to encourage all of you, you know, what's going on around the world right now, all the deception and all the evil and all the lawlessness, in the name of the law that they are now making. This is lawlessness in the eyes of God, but it has become the law in this world. In the name of all of that, I want you to know that God is still on the throne, and he looks down and he laughs at these people. They come against him and against his anointed one. And I can tell you, they better kiss the Son, lest he gets angry. So I wanted to come live and explain to you the situation in Israel, because many of you are being deceived by the news. I also wanted to explain that what's happening in New York City today is more than epic, with an amazing speech of President Trump, the leader of the free world, that is completely in contradiction to the spirit of the rest of what's going on here with climate change, and using a young Swedish girl as the front runner because they've used all of the other cards. And I won't tell you, I'm going to post that link to that YouTube of the interview with Jack Moore, Professor Jack Moore from Canada. He's one of the founders of Greenpeace, and you'll judge for yourself how silly this whole thing is all about. Again, thank you for praying for me for the conference in Minnesota, and I spoke at the church, in Friendship Church, the Sunday following that. I'm heading home for the Feast of Trumpets, and I'm also excited about my upcoming trip to Brazil. Please subscribe to our newsletter so you can understand what's going on, because I'm telling you, the enemy will not allow me to stay on social media for too long. So go to beholdisrael.org and subscribe to our newsletter and our devotional. Also on YouTube, Behold Israel, Facebook, Behold Israel, Instagram, Behold Israel, one word, and Twitter, Behold Israel. I love you. Thank you. God bless you from Manhattan, from New York City. And if there's anything else that I think you should know, I will not hesitate to report on. Okay? Thank you again. God bless you, and good night from New York City.